Coming up on this week's news, anger mounts in the trade as more electricians discover they've been rendered unqualified by industry bodies. The IET steps into the debate over DC isolators for solar panel installs, and supermarket Lidl unveils a home battery pack for just £260. Welcome to this, the 200th episode of Electrical News Weekly in association with Anker, the world's #1 home solar battery storage, and the SolarBank 3 Pro, the 1200 watt bidirectional energy storage system with 4 MPPTs and 2.68 kilowatt hours capacity. Whether you're listening in the van, on site, or down at the wholesale counter, I'm Joe Robinson, and I've been through the best of the electrical industry news to save you the trouble. We're being lit by Flex 7 with their lightning fast pre-wired modular lighting connection system that keeps your installation times razor sharp. And if you think you've spotted the 2 words that I've been challenged to slip into this week's show, comment with them below for the chance to win this exclusive cap branded with friends of the show, Quickwire and Chump Tools. And while you're there, click the links in the show notes to check out what our sponsors offer. Anger is mounting in the trade as more and more electricians are discovering that they're no longer qualified to do work they've been doing for years. It follows a poorly publicised shake-up of EAS competence requirements coming into effect this October. From then, you'll need qualifications before you can work on EV chargers, solar panels or battery packs. You'll also be required to have the standards and codes of practice documents as well as the right tools. Additionally, qualified supervisors and employed persons who do periodic inspection and testing will have to have at least 2 years' experience. They'll also have to hold what's termed acceptable qualifications. Finally, they'll have to show proof of continuing professional development. An increasing number of installers are finding out about the changes the hard way. They're discovering that it's affecting the scope of their work, their sign-off rights and future work opportunities. This month, electrician Ian East, who's been installing solar PV for 15 years, took to social media after being told his qualification won't be recognised from 2028. He tried to book a course to upskill but was told he can't take that because he hasn't got an NVQ level 3. A furious East describes the electrical industry as a joke. Another spark, Michael Loftus, said he had to pay £4,400 to retrain after the NIC said it no longer recognised his qualifications. But apart from a slight broadening of the requirements for EV charger installs to include a couple of City and Guilds qualifications, the EAS isn't backing down. Kevin Sparrow of the EAL defended the moves in an eFIXX livestream, saying everyone says they want to raise standards in the industry and the new rules will do just that. I've put a link to the full requirements in the show notes. And in these uncertain times, it's good to know that you can rely on Kidde with their range of high-quality smoke alarms. From battery-powered to hardwired, there's an easy-to-install solution that suits your customers with the latest sensing technologies to detect potential fire hazards and comply with European standards. In other news, the IET has stepped into the debate about DC isolators. It warns that incorrectly rated DC switch disconnectors are a major contributor to fires, and it also cautions that choosing a unit is much more complicated on the DC side than on the AC side. That's because both voltage and current can vary enormously due to the configuration of the photovoltaic array. You'll also need to use a correction factor for the manufacturer's power ratings. That's because they were produced under standard test conditions and real-world conditions can be very different. Then you need to work out the configuration of the switch disconnectors. That's because cutting a DC current is technically more difficult than cutting an AC one. The options are typically 2-pole series or 4-pole series for currents of 16 amps and under. For currents of 16 amps and over, you should use 2-pole contacts in parallel. For that, you'll probably have to use bridging links from the manufacturer of the devices. I've put a link to the full advisory in the show notes. The IET guidance is for switch disconnectors required by the wiring regulations. The regs say clearly that you must provide a means of isolation and switching on the DC of a solar inverter. If you're an avid follower of the channel and you've been rubbernecking this subject, it may be worth revisiting guidance from the insurance industry from 2024, which cautions the trade from installing unnecessary DC isolators with solar panel jobs. Their advisory says that use of DC isolators should be eliminated wherever possible. The addition of the devices is seen by that sector as a possible fire risk. In its best practice guide dubbed RC62, it points out that many inverters now have integrated isolators made to BSEN 60947-3, and these should be relied upon rather than a secondary device. The recommendations were drawn up by the insurer's body RISC Authority with the Microgeneration Certification Scheme, or MCS, with the support of Solar Energy UK. They're published by the Fire Protection Association. If you're confused by all the guidance, then look no further than my colleague Gordon. He's taken a deep dive into this whole issue, so if you're involved in solar installations, check out his video. Again, the link is in the show notes. Meanwhile, the rising interest in plug-in solar got a further boost this week as discount supermarket Lidl launched a solar battery pack for just £260 with iguana-like calm. Industry observers are describing it as a game-changer in battery adoption. The storage system, initially introduced in Germany, is compatible with most balcony PV systems. The 2.24 kWh unit carries Lidl's Tronic brand, but is originally made by Chinese manufacturer Mastech. It's believed to be a version of the company's B2500 unit. It has an input power of 1 kilowatt and an output power of 800 watts. When combined with a suitable inverter, it can simply be plugged into a standard electrical socket. According to Lidl, it's compatible with 99% of microinverters and balcony solar systems. An app-controlled version of the storage unit is also available for an additional £86. ChargeMate is currently marketing a new type of EV ground anchor. The EV Cube has been engineered to be lightweight, tough and built to last. The genius is that it arrives flat packed with each piece weighing under 18 kilos. This makes it easy to handle and quick to assemble, and you don't need any lifting equipment. There's no wet concrete involved, no curing delays or waiting for the right weather. You dig the trench, pop in the parts and connect them up in the hole. You then simply backfill and connect the EV charger. ChargeMate says the EV Cube has been designed so that the whole job can be done by just one electrician. It's moulded from recyclable composite, and the company says it's more environmentally friendly than concrete. 3 sizes are available: 300 by 300, 300 by 600 and 600 by 600mm. The design includes pre-marked knockout panels and integrated side cutouts for cable entry and exit to make the install easy. The Cube isn't tied to a single product or layout. It's designed around industry standard footplate dimensions, so you can directly mount payment pedestals and charger posts on top. It's compatible with ePark engineering stands and common pedestal formats, so you can scale across different sites without reinventing the process each time. You can check out the EV Cube for yourself at the Installer Show. It takes place on Tuesday the 23rd of June to Thursday the 25th of June at the NEC in Birmingham. Kidde's latest range of interconnected smoke, heat and carbon monoxide alarms has hit the market. They've been designed to simplify upgrades, improve fault identification and support compliance with current UK standards. The system provides distinct sound patterns on the detection of both fire and carbon monoxide. This allows occupants to identify the danger immediately. When any connected alarm detects smoke, heat or carbon monoxide, all the hardwired interconnected alarms sound the appropriate warning throughout the property. The range is suitable for installations designed to category LD1, LD2 or LD3 of BS 5839-6 2019, with alarms meeting grade D1 or D2 requirements depending on the application. The alarms are backwards compatible with selected older Kidde models. This allows you to extend or upgrade the network without replacing every detector in the property. A redesigned base incorporates direct wiring connections and removes the traditional flying lead arrangement. The larger base is also super useful. That's because it helps cover marks left by older alarms, so you don't need to do any redecoration. Other features include slide-on detector mounting, side cable entry points for surface wiring and a simple release mechanism for maintenance. The system also includes a special alarm memory function. After an alarm, the originating detector continues flashing for up to 24 hours, making it easier to identify the source of activation. You can also get a really useful centralised test and hush unit. This can silence all alarms except the initiating unit to help quickly pinpoint the source of the alarm. Joe 3PO has done a deep dive into Kidde's innovative system. I've put a link to the video in the show notes. In lighting news, Integral LED has reimagined that staple of the ceiling, the fire-rated downlight. Most of them are simply tightly sealed tin cans, with some you can't even change the light source if it fails, but Integral's one is a bit cleverer than that. The eFIXX uses UK patented fire-rated glass to stop flames from passing through the ceiling. Combined with powder-coated steel and tempered glass, it delivers a premium finish with bezels under 1mm thick. The range is fully third-party certified to 30, 60 and 90-minute ratings, including timber and I-joist ceilings. It's also a sustainable choice. That's because the fitting uses fewer resources to manufacture compared with traditional designs. The 15 kilos of carbon dioxide it takes to make is spread out over a long 10-year lifetime. It's also future-proof. You can easily replace the lamp or a light engine, allowing the fitting to be upgraded without replacing the entire unit. Options include a GU10 or 50mm module with the eVo Fire 85. For the eVo Fire Mini, you can choose either a GU11 or MR11 lamp. In fact, there are 57 variants to choose from. One that we love is a 110mm diameter version, which is super useful for covering old or uneven 85mm cutouts, giving a cleaner finish on refurbishment jobs. The eVo Fire range comes with a 7-year warranty. Still on lighting, how about this for a bright idea? It's the Paul Russell's lamp of the week, and this week we have a classic with a twist. It's a traditional GLS shape with the good old bayonet cap base, but this one's got 4 tapering LED filaments inside extra warm amber glass. The colour temperatures are super cosy 2200 Kelvin, so it's perfect for hospitality applications such as pubs and restaurants. It gives out the same output as a 50 watt incandescent, but from just 7 watts of input power. Now, it's that great moment where we get to celebrate the sterling work being done by the next generation. Our Learner of the Week slot is brought to you by XS Training with their online electrical courses for beginners and experienced sparks, covering inspection and testing, solar, battery storage, EV charging, and their specialism, NVQs and AM2 online prep. And our learner this week is Mason Martin. Mason is studying full-time on the Level 2 course at Bromley College. He's shown great commitment and enthusiasm throughout his training, displaying a range of practical work including PVC wiring systems and plastic conduit installs. He's also completed a 5-day work experience placement on site. There he covered site planning, health and safety, preparation for obtaining his CSCS card and building up his LinkedIn profile. Congratulations, Mason. You've made a terrific start to your career and well done on being this week's eFIXX Learner of the Week in association with XS Training. Still on training, it's been a historic week for Riverside College in Widnes and Runcorn. The school officially opened its brand new Green Skills Centre. This is a space designed with employers, for employers, ensuring that the training reflects the real demands of the electrical industry. This centre represents progress, partnership and a shared commitment to preparing the workforce of tomorrow. Congratulations to everyone involved in the development of the centre. And now, to the lighter side of the electrical news. Yes, it's time for a tea break with Quickwire and its range of incredibly rapid electrical connectors. Irish electrician Barra Mulligan is a man who refuses to throw anything away. The resourceful spark has spent the last 20 years turning scrap into DIY wind and hydro turbines. He uses everything from washing machine motors to old treadmill parts and anything else that looks like it might spin, charge or possibly explode in a controlled way. His workshop is even powered by one of his own homemade hydro turbines. Barra says it all started when he was a kid wiring up car speakers and building bedroom lighting systems. Now he travels the country collecting useful rubbish and sharing his builds online. Not bad for a man who basically looks at rubbish and thinks, yeah, that'll do for a turbine. That's the lighter side of the news in our tea break with Quickwire and their range of incredibly rapid electrical connectors. Click the link in the description to check them out for yourself. In sporting news, the eFIXX-sponsored Skipton Snipers have drawn 1-1 with Horsforth in a hard-fought clash. Horsforth had previously given the Snipers a bit of a hammering, so it would be understandable if they were expecting another rout. But the Snipers hadn't read the script. They put in a solid performance, taking a 1-0 lead in the first quarter. After plenty of battles, Horsforth managed to squeeze one in to make it 1-1. That meant one thing: penalties. Sadly, it didn't end in favour of the Blues. But the determination to grow as a squad has shone through all season, and every player has to be mega proud of themselves. Well done, team. Now, for the last time this season, it's over to the John Motson of the electrical industry. It's Joe 2.0 with all the latest news from our Fantasy Football League.
The final game week of the season is over, and what a season it's been. Over 400 players joined the eFIXX Fantasy League this year, and across 38 game weeks we've seen everything from outrageous captaincy hauls to absolute disaster classes, usually in my own team. And fittingly, the final game week gave us one last bit of chaos. With the title already wrapped up and many clubs having little left to play for, managers were left tearing their hair out as star players were benched, some not even making the squad at all. But a few managers navigated the madness perfectly. Let's get into it. The Marshall Toughlex Team of the Week goes to Mo Salah, managed by Mark Ronan. Mark was one of the lucky few who avoided the dreaded rotation roulette. His squad delivered brilliantly, finishing on 81 points after a perfectly timed bench boost right at the death. Big returns from Watkins and captain Bruno Fernandes did most of the damage, both hitting double digits to round off the season in style. A really strong final week performance and a very deserved score. Great work, Mark. Next up, the Fusebox Flyer of the Week goes to St Andrews Bowlers, managed by Anthony Thompson. Anthony also used a bench boost, but probably nearly launched his phone across the room when he realised both Haaland and O'Reilly weren't even in the Man City squad. A huge surprise to many, especially considering it was Pep Guardiola's final game with the club. Despite that chaos, Anthony still managed a very impressive 79 points, climbing nicely up the table to finish the season strongly. Proof that sometimes surviving the madness is half the battle. Now for the EV Blocks Defence of the Week, which goes to Bulwell FC. managed by Philip Haigh. This was probably the worst week for defenders all season, with only 4 teams keeping clean sheets, and most of those involved fairly low-owned players. Philip managed to make the most of it though, backing Porro and Spurs, who were clearly fighting for their lives to avoid relegation, which they just about managed. That helped Philip to a very respectable 19 points from defence, which in a week like this was genuinely impressive. Finally, it's time to crown the winner of the eFIXX Fantasy League. After 38 hard-fought game weeks, one manager came out on top, Marv Osculus, managed by Dave Thomas. Dave finished the season on a phenomenal 2,429 points, which places him around 2,500th in the whole world out of 13 million players. That is an unbelievable achievement. Congratulations, Dave. You are officially the eFIXX Fantasy League champion, and you've won the eFIXX backpack fully loaded with premium gear. Very well deserved. Get in touch with the team via the Get Involved link to claim your prize. That's the highlights from the final week of the eFIXX Fantasy League. Huge thanks to all our band partners for backing the fun every week, and most importantly, thanks to everyone who took part. We hope you all have a brilliant summer, and we'll see you again next season.
Thanks for that update, Joe. Speaking of football, a reminder that Schneider has unveiled the 2026 version of its hugely popular Score to Win promotion. In this exciting new game, installers must beat the keeper from the penalty spot as many times as they can to win points. And what do points mean? Prizes, of course. This year there are Premier League hospitality tickets up for grabs, as well as signed football shirts. Simply spend a minimum of £250 on Schneider Electric products in one transaction at any participating wholesaler. You'll then be given the opportunity to play a virtual game of skill involving kicking a football into a goal. There'll even be a public leaderboard so you can see how your mates are doing. I'll put a link to the terms and conditions in the show notes. Now, just before we get to your favourite bit of the show, where I reveal last week's challenge words and winners, we want to thank our premium partner. We couldn't make the news without you. The best thing to come out of Yorkshire since stainless steel, the home of EV Ultra and other groundbreaking and quality products, is Doncaster Cables. Click the link in the show notes to find out more about this great brand. If you think you know the words I've smuggled into this week's show, pop your guess into the comments. We'll take all the correct guesses and select one at random to be the winner of an eFIXX goodie bag prize. Answers submitted after about lunchtime on the Thursday after release will not be entered into the draw. Now let's reveal the winners of last week's challenge word competition. Last week's words were lava lamp and baby sham, and only a few got it right, all of whom I believe were previous winners, but the first person to come out of our electronic hat was Gary Reed, who guessed correctly over on LinkedIn. Well done to you, Gary. Make sure you click the Get Involved link in the show notes. And now, it's time for this week's weather from Joe 3PO and Foxy SS.
The bank holiday weekend saw the UK turn into one giant barbecue, with half the country pretending they don't normally burn, while solar owners watched their generation graphs looking like a crypto investors in 2021. And this week's featured Fox ESS master installer is Union Technical, who only sent us this one image of a battery install in Glasgow, but I love how it's the filling in a downpipe sandwich. That's a great install. Now, while all this sunshine is brilliant for solar generation, can the heat make them a little sluggish? Well, I'll answer that at the end of the forecast, so stay tuned for that. Today is looking like a scorcher across England and Wales, with temperatures pushing into the high 20s and low 30s in places. Loads of sunshine, light winds, and probably the highest generation day of the week for many systems. Scotland and Northern Ireland stay a touch cooler, but still bright with decent sunny spells. By Wednesday, the heat sticks around for most of the UK, although eastern areas may start to feel slightly cooler as a breeze develops off the North Sea. Still plenty of sunshine around though, especially across central and southern England, where solar conditions remain excellent. Things do start easing off though as we head into Thursday and the weekend, as temperatures ease back a touch with more cloud and the chance of some scattered showers developing across northern and western areas. Southern and eastern England are still likely to hold on to the best of the dry and sunny weather, but overall it becomes a bit more mixed as we move into next week. Okay, so why is extreme heat not always brilliant for solar panels? Well, solar panels actually work more efficiently when they stay cooler. So even though blazing sunshine increases generation, excessive heat can actually slightly reduce the panel's efficiency because the electrical resistance inside the cells increases as temperature rises. Basically, your panels love sunshine, but they're not massive fans of turning into air fryer lids.
Thanks for that update, Joe. This week we've been lit by Flex 7 with their lightning fast pre-wired modular lighting connection system that keeps your installation times razor sharp. Don't forget to click the links in the show notes to find out more. Thanks for listening to this episode of Electrical News Weekly in association with Anker Solix, the world's #1 plug-and-play solar battery storage brand. Make sure you subscribe to receive the next update. Thanks for listening, and until next time, have a great week. Stay safe out there, and remember, there's no such thing as a torque-calibrated arm.